So, what is one of the best ways to build and cultivate an audience? Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Creative Exploration series. I am actually planning on changing the format around a little bit. I've noticed these videos keep getting longer and longer each episode, and honestly, long videos generally turn me off and make me less interested to watch the whole thing. So I'm going to try to keep them around 6 or 8 minutes, and we'll see how I do here. I'm sure other people kind of feel the same way, so I'm just going to try to keep them short, and I might actually go back and re-record the offering meaningful feedback one, because I think that one is crazy important and people need to watch it. Anyway, I want to talk about an important and often overlooked aspect about being a creative person, and that is being consistent. Having consistency as an artist is really important in two different facets of your day-to-day life. First, consistency with your own work style is really important from a personal level. And second, consistency with your releases and your interactions with the community that kind of builds around you is also incredibly important as well. And both of these boil down to consistency because that is part of human nature. People don't like change, and people get into that rhythm of repetition, and they want to kind of have the same thing every week or every day or every month, whatever your schedule might be. So when it comes to your work style, you come to expect what you need to do. Like, you might have a certain time of day that works best for you when you're working or something like that, and your brain shifts into work mode a lot easier during that time. Like, for me, sometimes when I wake up in the morning I can get work done, but usually it is around 8 to midnight, and that's when I get a lot of my work done. So yeah, it might be a certain time of day, it might be just being in a place, like in your office. Like, if I have my laptop, sometimes I have a hard time concentrating when I'm writing music. So it might be where you are, or it might be a very simple trigger. Like, I have a light. My desk is backlit, so I have a light that I turn on, and that helps me focus. Okay, it's time to work now. So all of those things can either work in conjunction or independently, and it's important to find those variables that work for you, because everybody is different. And once you find those variables, be sure to be consistent, to make efforts to ensure that they're there when you're working, because it really helps to have that additional reinforcement that it's work time now. So don't go browse Facebook for 20 minutes or watch YouTube for 4 hours like I sometimes end up doing. And then secondly, and importantly, with an external, with your community or with your fans, it's very important to be consistent with what you put out. Either that's a consistent release schedule or consistent blog posts, or just something that creates repetition and makes people feel like they expect something from you that time of the week or the time of the month, or every day if you're able to swing that. And you have to get a schedule and you have to stick to it. And it's really hard, especially when you're just starting out, because you have to allot the time to do it, and you have to figure out exactly what the best way to do it is. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of dedication to commit to that consistency, but it's really, really important. But having a schedule and sticking to it can sometimes be more important than quality. And that leads into a couple things I'm going to say later, but it's just really important to be consistent, because that part of your brain that needs that kind of consistency or repetition, you need to keep that going, because it's so easy to fall off the wagon. And if you miss, and you hear this with exercising too, you miss a day, you miss a week, and then it is you're starting over. And that actually happened to me personally back in both in January and in April, where I had to stop for a week, and then I had to dig myself out of this little hole that I made and try to get back into things. I've heard a lot of stories from like streamers and people that post to YouTube that just doing it every day, even if nobody's watching, you will eventually get a following, because it is just that consistency and the fact that you're doing it every day, even though that nobody is watching at that time. It shows that you are committed to what you're doing, and it not beyond that commitment, it shows that you're consistent at what you do and that you just won't quit when things get hard, you know? And that level of commitment often is not always conscious when like somebody visits your channel or listens to your music or anything like that. But the fact that you have like this huge backlog and you're still making stuff, like that's really, really important. And so when it comes to projects that take longer than like a month or something like game development or making huge outdoor sculptures that are all this wrought iron or whatever, then really, since you can't release that consistently, try to release a consistent update schedule for posts or teaser videos of what you're doing. Just something on a regular schedule to say, to reach out to the community and be like, hey, I'm making this and I think you would be interested in it. It's having that, it opens a conversation, and people, when they see it, will probably respond, and then you have a dialogue, and when you have a dialogue, then you can start crafting a relationship, and then you have a fan or a friend, you know. It's kind of the same thing, and that's going to be a future video. But it's something to show that you're always working on this and that you're passionate about it. And that is incredibly important. So you have to commit to consistency, and it's very hard, but you have to set a schedule for yourself and really try not to deviate from that schedule. You can always lapse once in a while, and I know that happens. Like sometimes life happens and you can't do something, and that's makes sense. And as long as you make that concession for yourself and you just like redouble your efforts next week or next month to do better, that's all you need to do. You can communicate that with your fans as well. So doing it this way is obviously not a fast way to gain an audience, but it is a reliable one. And I have mentioned this before, but getting a bunch of followers overnight is really extremely fleeting, and creating a community takes a long time, but having that community is really what makes things stick and what makes things evolve forward, rather than just doing like flashes in the pan, you know? So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel, because I will be making a ton more content like this in the future. I am on a consistent schedule. Every Monday I release a creative exploration video. I actually record these on Friday, so I have a little bit of a buffer. But in addition to that, I now have a Patreon, and this Patreon is creating royalty-free music for content creators. So I make music that you can use in video games, podcasts, YouTube videos, Let's Play series, anything you want that needs music, I will be making music for it. And I've been posting these 2-hour track challenges on my YouTube page, and that is basically the music that I am going to be releasing royalty-free. So if you want, check out my Patreon. I'll pop something up right there, and I'll have a link in the description below if you're on mobile. But yeah, if you need music, consider subscribing, because I'm very consistent. So I will see you all in the next video. Be remarkable.